When these works, ultimately, they're all personal to me. They're my interest. When you have that type of creative control, you're following your instincts. You're following things that you love and you like and you're interested in. So it's your diary of what's going on and how your particular experience in this world at that moment was.
Hey, it's Kristen, and I get a chance to speak with director Azazel Jacobs about his new film, French Exit. I hope you enjoy our conversation. It's so great to meet you. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the French Exit and where your inspiration came from, why you wanted to adapt this specific book into a film.
French Exit is based on the book, also called French Exit, written by Patrick DeWitt, who also wrote the script. And Patrick and I are very close friends, so I read his books at late stages, but when they're not completely finished. And so this is one of those that I read and really sat down in one sitting. I remember really clearly kind of printing it out and sitting in a park. And the moment I got to the last page, it just, without thinking twice, I called up Patrick and asked him if I could work on making this an adaptation. And then really through the process of making this film, you start, rather than, I guess I wasn't questioning my instincts so much, but just pursuing what are these things that I'm connecting to, and why do I love these characters? Because it's really very far from my own story. Like, I don't know this world at all in my own life. So I can answer that best now in retrospect, now that I've finished the film, and say that I really am interested in stories about class, but I also am somebody that feels out of step and odd in this world, and I want to tell stories about odd people, and for an audience that feels odd. Like I appreciate that, and that's definitely one of the things that I kind of gravitate towards in all my work.
Yeah, I think you have some really interesting characters that you're focused on in this film. How did it come together when it came to casting this project?
It started with Michelle, really at the very top of like, if you're looking at it as a tree, the way that I looked at it was as a family, and just seeing how they all can connect and how they could play off of each other, how they could connect with each other and clash with each other. I worked very closely with my casting director, Nicole Brusto. And so just thinking of Michelle and then going, okay, so what's another energy that could be in her family and also could play against certain elements that I thought Michelle could bring into Francis's, led us to Lucas Hedges, and then led Lucas to Imogen, and then it kind of going back and forth and just really seeing how these can all work together. Because I do see them in the end ultimately as this kind of maybe disjointed and family, but coming from all these separate elements that together complete each other in certain ways.
With this film, you had Patrick write the screenplay, who also wrote the book. So what was that like, taking his project to the screen? Were there things that you guys decided to change together, or things that you were like, no, we have to leave this?
What we wanted to leave is the things, just like the elements that we loved, without kind of explaining, going, okay, this particular scene has to stay in. Though as things got farther and farther along, and I started going back to the book, that became really clear. Oh, I'd love to get this. Is there a way to get this into this story as well? And Patrick was always easy to talk to about these things in terms of what can come in and what can come out. And I have to say that Michelle and Lucas were also really involved in terms of saying what they responded to the book, what things that they felt we could potentially bring in to the script, and just have that as a discussion. And so Patrick was working, and that was going on really up until right before shooting, that we were still going back to the book and kind of going, what else can we glean? How else can we turn this and represent this story that we've loved from the beginning so much onto its transformation to screen?
Could you tell us a little bit about your favorite moments while filming? I don't know if you had any favorite scenes or just favorite moments on set.
This was a real fun one for me to make. It was one of those situations where every day there was something I was looking forward to seeing, couldn't picture it until we were shooting. I could say that we began with that opening scene in the film, which is a flashback moment of Francis picking up Malcolm, who Lucas plays, but at 12 years old. So it's a flashback from, about 12 years earlier. That was the first day of shooting. And so we're starting with kind of scene one opening, and just that first feeling of seeing, I remember really vividly still, just seeing the Francis, after all the discussions and all the kind of rehearsals and talks and conversations that have been going on for months. Suddenly there's Francis. We've been working on our wardrobe, working on all these elements, and just that sense of seeing this incredible transformation from Michelle Pfeiffer to Francis Price, and there Francis Price was just breathing in front of me, and that was like a real thrill. And then it just kept on happening, I would say, with each first moments of seeing these characters. All of these actors were so meticulous in their own ways of figuring out their ways into these people today, and having the book to draw from. It was, by the time we were shooting, things felt really fully realized, and at the same time in ways that were constantly surprising to me.
These characters are very unique. Some may call them eccentric. Could you tell us a little bit more about these characters in particular? I feel like we're following such a unique family, if you will.
You're right. I mean, they're unique in their own way, but I don't know if, at least when I look at my own friends and family, people that I know well, I see, of course, unique and complicated and conflicting people that are shifting in ways, and odd people. Like, I just think that when we look closely at ourselves, we find things that don't completely fit in the way that we'd hope or that we planned or imagined. So I do think in some ways, all these characters are very different tones in their own, like in their youth or their oddness, right? Like, I wouldn't say Francis has an old best friend, Joan, and she's a grounded person. She's really, and the way that the actress Susan Coyne, how she's played is, yes, she's in a very, very strange world, this ultra wealthy world that to me is bizarre, and I can't imagine how those people could be grounded in any sense of reality. I mean, how could they be? Like, they there's nothing that they've shared with most of us. How could that not completely warp? And we see it warp with wealthy people all the time. And then there's all these other elements of these people that I think through their own, like, let's say Madeline, the medium, who Danielle McDonald plays, she's somebody that has this ability to see death, right? And if you take that to what that would do to you as a person, just imagine, it's like in the book, she sits down next to somebody in a park bench, and she could see what this person is about to do to themselves. And if that happened on a regular basis, that is, you're walking through the subway, how would that affect you? We took these things very seriously. So, like, they're odd, but I think that their heartbreaks and the things that have happened in their life are taken seriously to the point that it's made extreme versions of themselves because of what's happened in their lives. Let's say with Madame Renard's husband choking on a piece of lamb or whatever. They're bizarre things that have happened, but create bizarre people.
Is there anything else about the film that maybe you haven't gotten to talk about yet that you'd like to share?
That's a great question. It's a very rare film to have been made pre this time. I can't imagine a film like this being made now. It just, the idea of being able to tell a story this vast and this many characters and this many elements going on, but also being given I was really given total creative control. And it's one of these films that it gives you this sense of, I can stand behind each frame because it's my frame.
That's powerful. That's awesome. That, like, you guys created this project. You guys are part of it.
Yeah, it's the world that, like, I you imagine these things, you aim for them, and they're still surprising. Like I'm still looking, I'm still feeling. The film was just finished last week, and I'm feeling it out, and a lot of times that's going to shift. I just did a commentary for a couple old films that were like 10, 15 years old, and watching them now at this age, wow, it's just these things continue to grow and shift as hopefully I do.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Kind of you, as you get older, you kind of can take in new ideas about your own projects.
Yeah, because when these works, ultimately they're all personal to me. They're my interest. When you have that type of creative control, you're following your instincts. You're following things that you love and you like and you're interested in. So it's your diary of what's going on and how your particular experience in this world at that moment was. It's so different, right? When you work on somebody else's stuff and it's their dreams, it's their diary, and you're trying to just execute their dreams as best as you can. And sometimes it becomes yours. You find your way in, and maybe in some ways, Patrick's writing, like I read it, I loved it, and I wanted it, and I wanted to own it as well. And so now it's mine. We get to share it.
I think that's so cool that you guys are able to collaborate together, that you're able to work with a friend to bring something to another level, basically.
I'm sure many people have said this when they collaborate, but like what it does to a relationship, it's such an intimate experience. You're getting, when you even going through the book and reading it over and over, you're getting inside of someone's mind, and it's the closest I can get to stepping out of myself, seeing what it could be like to be in Patrick's mind, seeing myself from that point of view, and what do I want to carry over. And so it's special, and especially like that I would say that was one of the biggest pressures on me, because I knew the kind of what I felt, the goal that he was giving me, and I just wanted to serve it correctly. So the fact that he loves the film as much as I do really means a lot to me.
If you like this one, you can check out more of my coverage from New York Film Festival right over here, and I'll catch you in my next video. See ya.